Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some and peace out to the rest of you. The blackest heart, the blackest minded, blackest man on social media signing, blacking and shining again, asking you to hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. And I'm going to say this before I get into the main message here. There are some people that like to say certain things. Now, my audience is usually not men that come in with beef. They don't do it. Not in my audience. I've been lucky. However, there are times when some ladies come in on occasion and they want to just, tell me something and talk down to me. And as far as I'm concerned, if you were born and raised in the West and that is your acculturation, you can't tell me thit. Unless you can send to me a link to a study, there ain't much you can tell me. I've got your number. I know what is in your interest. Either you're not willing to do things like that and we're not enemies in the first place, or you are, or you're willing to justify that. And I'm gonna come back to that. But let me get to get back to this first point before I get into the message. I want to say that some of you may think that you can start some stuff because y'all might like to start stuff, even if you accidentally do it. You may like to start stuff between male YouTubers. Y'all ain't gonna be able to pull it off in this case. I saw Xanatoach Clutch's video about men going in on these dating coaches, especially when they don't cam up. And especially when they're not covering business and when they are not covering money. And you know what? I fit that category. But Xanatos is not hateful. He can have the opinion. I'm not going to go, and I don't think he was even thinking of me, to be honest with you. I'm not that big. I can't break 1,945 subscribers. And I don't think I'm ever going to. I'm not camming up, and I'm not taking money, so I'm not paying a production team. I'm not doing that. This is not a monetized channel. It may be in the future, but I need to put in some years where I put the message out and I take nothing in exchange for it. And I need to do that because this is going to be proof that I am for the message. And that's what I believe in. I'm not a prophet, but one of the things the prophets had in common was that they took no money for their message. That's one of the things they've had in common. So maybe later, but right now, no, I'm not doing it. So therefore, I'm not going to get the subscriber base at this point that will be able to compete with his, and that's okay. But see, before any of you may think you're going to come to me and say, listen, he was talking about you because you said this and that and the other about the dating coaches. Understand, number one, he's not hateful. So he's stating an opinion. He's not starting a grudge and a beef. Number two, he and I agree on more than what is apparent at the surface, because even I will distinguish between those who tell you what to avoid so that you don't become the food, and those who tell you to get out there and try and do things that validate these dumbass broads. There's a difference between them. I don't hear Coach Greg Adams saying, get out there and try and take the risk. And I don't hear him saying that. I hear him saying, these are the risks. Avoid this. I don't hear Stephen Clinkscale saying, get out there and try. I hear him saying, these are the risks and these are what they want to do. Avoid that. And he doesn't validate them and what they want. I do hear somebody that's a combat veteran saying, well, it's you guys and y'all give all creepy, rapey vibes and stuff like that. Yeah, okay. Creepy, rapey vibes means that you seem interested in them and they're not interested in you, and they're socialized to not be interested in you, so they know that other women probably aren't interested in you, and therefore they feel insulted that you like them anyway instead of feeling validated. That's what creepy, rapey vibes means. Nyoko. Sorry, I was channeling my internal stink meaner. But that's even him I don't hate. I'm not starting a grudge with him, and he'll never hear this. I'm not big enough again. But I'm going to go in on those that say, well, get out there and validate them. No, 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 no. The answer is you fast and you learn to curb the libido while you're stuck in the West. And unfortunately, not everyone can do that. Biologically, people are different. So I don't have a solution for those who are stuck in the West and fasting doesn't work for them. I just don't have that solution. But also, you work on getting yourself out of the West. And then that's where it is that you can actually be treated fairly and you can be validated in exchange for your validation. Mutual respect between you and her. That's where that can happen. Now, I've said before and I'll say again, black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day. When any man, black or white, tells you to hit the weights and get that money and then get out there and try, and they're telling you to do this in the West, that man is your enemy. If he knows he's your enemy or if he does not know. Let me rephrase that. He is harmful to you unintentionally if he is not aware. And if he knows what's going on, he is intentionally harming you. There are parts of the world now where you can still be treated better than you ever will be inside the West, even in rural areas of Western nations. There are some medium-sized cities in other countries that are developed where you will be treated far better than you will ever be treated even in a small country town in Alabama. And you will be treated far better by women that look and behave far better. That overinflation and Lois Lane Superman syndrome, which is something internalized by both Western men and Western women, has already hit the small towns. She feels entitled to a 9 and she's a 3. It's them 49ers that Coach Greg Adams talks about. I don't hear him saying, get out there and become a 9 so you can get you a 6. I don't hear him saying that. He's largely telling you what to avoid. See, women teach you a whole lot of things to avoid because they're just very vocal about what they don't like. They've so much so to the point that they've lied about not liking things that they do like because they get some kind of kick out of talking about what they don't like and showing their girls that they don't like so-and-so. So they have to reject someone for everyone else to see to get the validation, socially speaking, in the West. It must be there. That's why some study about dick pics came out and what happened in the study. I saw a screenshot of it, and apparently 50% of women say that they receive them unsolicited, but 22% of men will send them if they're requested. 30% of men say that they even get the request. And 22 were willing to send it if they were requested. The man who posted a screenshot even said, I challenge women to post the photos with the thing blurred out to make it legal, but just enough evidence that they're actually getting this, because it's in your interest to lie and say that you're getting unwanted attention from men. It's an ego boost. Yeah, tell me about it. And I, for one, have gotten sick and tired of men having to live with the effects of this. So dating coaches are steering you right the F into that. And largely why they're doing that is, well, you see, there are two things. Number one, they just really haven't thought about it. But number two, they don't want you to see going abroad as an option. They want you to see paying them as the option. I've said this before. Now I'm going to get to the main message that I wanted to get to. And this one, I'm going to address the daggle. And you maggle niggas too. Let me explain something to you all. Number one, the reformed ex-thought new virgin or born again virgin is an effing insult to men. It doesn't matter how sincere her reform is. Let me make that clear to y'all right now. Now, there was a comedian that one time said, I don't like those women at all. I respect them less than I do the thought, because I'm not here for the new you. I'm here for you to make those same bad decisions with me. Now, I can understand that from a selfish standpoint, even though I, as a Muslim, do not advocate fornication. I don't agree with it even. What I am going to say is that even if you decide, okay, you know what, now you're religious and you're going to be a born again virgin, you're still insulting the next man, because the first man to whom you give the higher prices has to be insulted. I'm sorry, but that's the way that runs. Unless, of course, that man is exactly in the same position as you. He was out there always getting his knob polished with a bunch of different women. And then he decides, you know what, I'm not doing it right, and I'm going to be a born again virgin. Now, that's the only man that should not be insulted. Every other man should be insulted by that. So what I'm saying to you is, if you decide you want to go that route, I can morally commend you, and I do. But what you must prepare for, and actually what you need to do, is stay the F by yourself. Don't try to go look for the kosher penis or the halal penis. No, you need to learn to do what it is that men have had to do. Stay the F by yourself, even when you have a libido, because otherwise it would not be fair. Now, it sounds like I'm saying, well, since men have to work to get some, you should have to go without it. Yeah, that's exactly what the hell I'm saying. Because you're not going to actually fully learn and mature until you go through that. It's not just selfish vengeance that is my motive for saying this. It is because there's certain things I can't explain them. No one can. You're just going to have to learn them for yourself. You're going to have to learn about not getting something you want in the short and long term, both. You're going to have to learn about that. There's a reason that Muhammad, peace be to him, saw more women in hell than there were men. There were some reasons that were beyond women's control, more of them surviving into adulthood. There were other reasons completely within women's control. And frankly, he even described what it is in the hadith that puts them in there in larger numbers. Their propensity to forget the good things that they've had and received from a husband the minute he can't pull off something that she wants. I never get anything from you. That right there. Which is also referred to as Brifo's Law. And I'm going to say this. A lot of sisters that see these, they get into these debates on Twitter and Facebook about this stuff. They say the same thing. Oh, so you men, y'all just mad because y'all didn't get to smother up like the other guys did. So now you saying you don't want to. You're damn right. You're damn right. You don't come to us. You don't, that's men in general, just like for you women. And I'm going to illustrate this for you. Imagine that a man completely simps for years. And he loses money and even other assets that are not liquid cash. Just loses through life. And he don't get kisses on the cheek. He ain't even getting hand jobs. So he damn sure ain't busting nuts up in nobody's vagina. Definitely ain't got no kids. But he just simping and simping and simping. He's giving and giving and giving and giving. And it gets pretty much nothing in exchange except maybe a few trifling gifts and trinkets and sometimes compliments when they want stuff from him. You know, that type thing. And he does this for years and decades. And you know this guy. And you know that he likes you and the way you look, but you ain't interested. And then you know what? You fall on hard times. You done gambled your money away and you didn't win nothing. You lost. And you don't know how you gonna make rent. And since you ain't got no rental contract, you can be evicted and put out because you stand with somebody. They can put you out at any point. So you need a place to stay. And you go to this nice guy and he sits up and he says, well, from now on, see, I know my worth now. So from now on, I don't do things like this for free anymore. I don't just come to people's rescue for nothing anymore. That what is in it for me? And you say, you selfish prick, how dare you? All of a sudden, when I need you, you're not going to be there because of some new ego you got. That's how you're going to flip it. Knowing damn well that he's right and you wrong. That's exactly what it's like when a lady comes along and says, well, I know my worth now, and I have to be courted and married before I give up the cookie. Okay, well, I mean, that's okay, but in order to actually get someone to court and marry you, you should have been consistent with that from the very effing beginning. Cats know that other niggas done hit for a lot less. That's all you're going to attract. So instead of saying, I know my worth and you need to court and marry me, what you should say is, I can't live that lifestyle no more. I can't do that anymore. Nothing personal. I was just wrong for doing it all these years. And I'm done doing that. And it's the same for you as it is for anyone else. That's how you go about it. And just deal with the fact that you're going to be by yourself, because you done sat up and said, okay, well, the one thing I was good for, I'm now saying I'm not going to do under the same circumstances. And there's no reason that any self-respecting man, religious or not, should pay more than others and go through more than others for the same result. So therefore, I'm going to be alone. I'm not compatible with anybody. And I don't just mean alone. I mean celibate. If you really are not about that fornication no more. No moments of weakness. None of that. Because if you're going to backslide, yes, these men with whom you did not backslide have a right to be offended. Because this is no longer about preference at this point. It still becomes about just what you want at a selfish and animalistic level. It still becomes about that. So I'm not saying that you owe any individual man. I'm saying that they actually owe it to themselves, because they don't owe you what you are now demanding under different and more difficult terms, doing a lot more in exchange for a lot less. A self-respecting man owes it to himself to avoid this, which is why I said what I said about the dating coaches. I differentiated between those people called dating coaches who tell men what to avoid and sidestep, and those who call themselves dating coaches or are called or accept others calling them this, that say to men to get out there and try. And don't say go somewhere else where the culture is actually going to be more fair to you and they're socialized to be more fair and just to you. Because believe it or not, most American men are not getting passports just so they can go and abuse other women in other countries. That's really not what a lot of them are looking to do. Frankly, if you get convicted of something like that in another country, the U.S. State Department could be pressured to not issue your passport anymore and you become stuck in the U.S. That could happen. So neither the government nor the individual passport holder has that in their best interest to just abuse someone. Well, that's why we got to be careful about false accusations abroad. We know this. If I get falsely accused of a violent crime while I'm here, not only could I be convicted and then have to serve some time, but when I get out, it could very well be that the State Department would say, okay, we're not issuing a passport anymore because of your conviction for violence abroad. I'm not going to risk that, and that's one of the reasons I'm not going to sit up here and tell people who I am and cam up. Because even though I'm not that big, fact is, it could happen to anybody. I don't have another passport from another nation yet. So I'm not going to give you all a chance to make me stuck because you don't like the fact that I'm drying up your well of simps. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to remove the supply of simps. You ain't supposed to be able to find no simps. Just like you don't owe a man them draws, men don't owe you no simping. And if you think that you owe it to yourself to not be loose with them panties, which you do actually, men owe it to themselves to not be simps. And I'm going to tell you why it is that even women who don't do these things are less than pieces of crap and excrement for defending the ones who do this type stuff. Let me tell you why. I'm going to use my students again to relate this example. And one of the students, and I'm going to get this nigga's name, Hakeem Faisal. Yep, that's this nigga's name. Logged into class routinely. Doing that fraudulent stuff, logging in and then not answering, but he wasn't asleep. See, his thing is that if I called him with the voice, I say, hey, yo, Hakeem Faisal. What would this nigga do? He'd answer, but see, I have a countdown because if somebody's sleeping, they hear their name, it takes them a while to get to the microphone, to get the voice working and all that. Oh, yes, Dr. Black. You know, that type thing. So I started giving countdowns. You got 8 seconds to react. If your mic don't work, type 3 dots in the chat. I'll give you time to finish typing the rest. If I count down from 8 to 0, that's it. You're a fraudulent student, and I put you on a fraud report. So they take away your hours of attendance later. Nyoko. So I call him. Hakeem Faisal. 8, 7, 6. I get to 0. 20 seconds later. Yes, Dr. Black. Yes, Dr. Black. Nigga, I finished calling the countdown a long time ago. He finally came and he said, listen, Dr. Black, I'm actually logged in and listening, but I'm also studying for the TOEFL exam, test of English as a foreign language. I said to him, listen, man, you got time to study for that when you're not in class with me. If you're in class with me, instead of just studying and reading, you get to actually practice. I'll help you with the grammar. But if you don't practice with me on the mic and in the chat, practice writing and speaking, which also means you practice reading and listening, guess what, blood? You're just reading. And he said to me, yeah, but I might make a mistake in the chat or speaking. Yeah, that's the whole point. You make a mistake and then I correct you. That's how you improve. Finally, this man said to me, all right, doctor, I'll answer you. You know what happened? There were other students that were actually logging in, and these niggas were piles of crap, excrement. Yeah, that's what these dudes were. They were logging in, going to sleep, and then they would answer me 3 and 4 minutes after I called them. Real pieces of crap, low down niggas. The only thing that saved them is they weren't violent. And frankly, if they were poor, these cats would be violent. They'd be just like any Pookie, a stereotypical, thugged out Pookie in the hood. They'd be just like the worst of them. While they're Muslim, which means that they would at some point have to resort to hypocrisy because they would be doing things like this and then praying and then swearing to Allah in front of some judge that they didn't do it. Now your butt doesn't become a hypocrite because you're swearing to Allah on a lie. Because you ain't going to just admit that you shouldn't have been doing this. And so that's what saves him. And the economy's getting bad, so that ain't going to always be there. So anyway, there's that. Now, here's where it gets worse. I one day spoke to the students that were always doing this because I was always catching them. And I said to them, look, I can look on the log and on the record and I can see you, and you. And again, while I was talking to them, 2 minutes after I gave their names, they were saying, yes. And then I realized I'd woken them up and I said, listen, you guys, you're always logging in and then you're not with us and you're sleeping or something and I catch you. I've caught you guys every single hour this week. And you guys are cheaters. I know you're willing to do this and cheat to get the attendance grade. You're going to try to cheat on the written test too. And I'm going to catch you guys. You only got 2 options. You turn in your own paragraphs for the written test and I rip them apart because your English is going to be bad and you get a low grade, or you cheat and I catch you cheating and then you get a 0. You're not going to pass that because you spent this whole semester lying, logging in, and then not actually being with us, nigga. Now that's real. Hakeem Faisal, stank ass, decided he gonna come and say, well, Dr. Black, we're gonna smoke, we're gonna pass them up on the final exam. And I was like, no, Hakeem, that's not what's happening. It turned out that Hakeem decided to defend these little low-life niggas. Why? Because Hakeem, even though he doesn't cheat, Hakeem is still lazy. He's just not as lazy as the ones who cheat. And he knows he's lazy. So what he wanted is others to be so lazy that they cheat their way through everything and then lower the standard that he has to meet. He didn't want those folks to shape up and be his competition. See, he will study to a certain extent than he's done. He's not good at correcting his errors. So he keeps repeating the same mistakes in English. He doesn't know they're mistakes, but he doesn't care. He doesn't want to do the extra work to learn errors and make corrections. So what does he do? He lowers the standard by defending the shitbags that cheat their way through life. That's what this nigga's doing. They can't defend themselves in English with me, and I'm not going to let them use Arabic in the classroom to defend themselves. You say 3 words together in Arabic in my class and I kick you out. Bounce. Fit the guck out my face. You're not going to turn this into an Arabic class. You're not supposed to need Arabic to form a full sentence in class. And I've kicked out about 5 of them just the last 7 weeks alone. Because somebody gets on a microphone and they won't stop doing it, or they start typing in Arabic and I kick them out. You're gone. That's what I have to do. So consequently, that's what you who defend the daggle are doing. You defend these little born again virgins who don't have the decency to say, I should be by myself and actually be celibate. Actually walk the walk when it's not convenient. I should be doing this. You see, you're defending them because even if you have not done these things like practice the dual mating strategy or commit paternity fraud or go through a whole phase and then try to find a husband afterwards, even if you ain't doing these things, you want that option to be on the table no matter how unfair it is for the men. That's all you are. You are not to be respected. You may have actually walked that walk, but if you were defending those who refuse to walk the walk and and they even want to do away with that path altogether, and you're sitting up there defending them, you're a piece of crap too. You're just trying to cover what you're trying to do is set it up so that you can stop walking the walk and deal with no consequences. We men can't escape the consequences of what we've done. Yesterday, the African American with whom I had lunch was talking about we men need to take responsibility. And I had to say to him, nigga, we don't get away with nothing anyway. You are from the States. I'm from the States. You know we men get away with nothing. We don't even get away with things we did not do wrong. We have to pay the price for not being able to read their minds. We are blamed because we can't read their minds. And this makes them mad. We're supposed to accept it when they just all of a sudden lose interest, but instead of just leaving, they got to leave and take half, and we're supposed to be okay with that. We're supposed to be okay with after providing for them for years, they turn around and thought it up with pool boys and want you to fund their new relationships with these pool boys or their new marriages with these pool boys. That's what it is. Talking about we need to take responsibility. When did we ever get to dodge it? I had to say this to him yesterday. Well, consequently, it's like this. You're pretty much saying that women should be able to do exactly what you say men should not be able to do. We can't dodge responsibility even when we had no better knowledge of something. All you're doing is saying that you have that right, that you're not only entitled to do these things that many of you defenders aren't doing. And what is the reason? It is so that you don't appear to be basic. It is so that you can sit up here and look at normal men as if they are below normal, because your normality is Superman. It is so that you can continue with the lowest lane Superman syndrome. You not doing the things that are abnormal and you doing the things that are actually normal would be overvalued. Well, I ain't no slut. You ain't supposed to be. And you may say, well, that's a double standard. I don't believe in the double standards as a Muslim, but the problem is that I've seen is that many of you actually do believe in these double standards. Because while I will tell men, no, don't sleep around. You marry four and sleep with them, up to four if you can take care of them and treat them all equally, but don't just sleep around. The difference is that I may say this, but you'll say this to men, yet you will lose respect for them for not doing it. Whereas when I say this to them, I don't lose respect for them for not doing it. That's where the difference lies. That's why we may say the same things to men, but I look at you and be like, how about you fuck the shuck up? Because you may tell a man to do the right thing, but for the wrong reason. And how do we know? No respect for doing it. He doesn't sleep around? Okay. Are you going to try to help him marry one of your friends? Nope. Absolutely. Okay. I see that. Well, and you may say, well, my friends may not like him. I get that. But like if you got a bunch of friends, let's take that out of the equation for a second. You got a bunch of friends, some would, some wouldn't, and you ain't trying to hook that man up. That right off the bat, right there, you do not care. You might care about other women. I don't know. You certainly care about not only yourself, but you care about your lowest self. Everyone has one. But that's the only part of even yourself you care about. If you're going to sit up here and defend the effery while you're not a participant. You want to defend the ones that ride the cock carousel and you ain't actually doing it. You want to ride the cock carousel. That's all there is to it. You're going to defend the ones who commit paternity fraud. Even if you're not doing it, you want to commit paternity fraud. You want your daughter to be able to ride the cock carousel and commit paternity fraud so that she can pick one man to breed the baby and pick another unrelated man to feed the baby. Just call it what the F it is. Do not defend the effery. Just like I had to tell Hakeem Faisal, do not defend these niggas that cheat. And no, they're not going to let you do better than them in the final exam. They're still going to try to cheat. If they can't bring the phone, they're going to bring in papers. They're going to pay people to try to get in and photograph the exams. They're going to do everything except study for the test. And they're going to continue trying that. They're going to continue trying to cheat until they find a way to cheat. Because they know if you can write the correct answer down without cheating, they understand that one day, if you do get a job before they do and they have to come to you to get the job, you ain't going to hire them. They understand that. So what they're going to do, they're going to try to cheat their way to success so that they can turn around and lock you out of it when you go in front of them for a job because they know you're honest and you'll make them look bad. They know that. Just like we've seen happen many times in business. Sometimes you can't get ahead because you're going to be honest. You're not going to lie. You're not going to steal money. You're not going to steal from clients. You're not going to steal from the employer. You're going to tell the truth. You're going to be straightforward. And what's going to wind up happening because of that? Well, while you're being straightforward, somebody else is over there stealing and skimming, and they're in a position to hire. And so they know that you're not going to be on board with this. So they say, no, he's going to rat and expose us. Or she's going to rat and expose us, and they don't hire you. Same thing happens here. And that's what you're doing. You're sitting up here and you're doing nothing but helping the ratchet continue to be ratchet and feel entitled to get away with it and pay nothing in the way of consequences. Meanwhile, let a man simply ejaculate in you too soon and he's all kind of MFs and he deserves all kind of this, that, and the other. Many of you think that a man enjoying sex more than the woman does is worse than the woman lying to her husband or lying to her boyfriend or lying to any man about his paternity of her child. But you think you're so good because you didn't ride a cock carousel. Now, that's those of you that defend this stuff without doing it. If you defend this and I don't know you, I'm going to assume until proven otherwise that you're one of those that does it. I'm not even going to assume that you're one of those defending it without doing it. So the best case scenario, if you defend this stuff, is that you are defending it without doing it so that you can do it later, or so that somebody close to you can do it and get away with it. That's it. That's the best case scenario. Worst case and first assumption I'm going to make and tell other people is you're defending it because you've done it. And you're doing it. And you're planning on doing it later on. And you just don't want the natural moral consequences to apply to you. So you're going to try to brainwash everybody to where they would never apply these natural moral consequences to your disfavor. As if you're somehow entitled. So no, you can miss me with that stuff. You can miss us with that stuff. I don't want to hear it. And I'm going, and if it's Facebook, Twitter, or if it's YouTube, or in person, when I hear some of you try to defend that stuff, I'm going to dig in, because I don't defend deadbeat dads that just leave when they have the means to look after their kids, although that type of situation is pretty rare. I don't defend rapists. I don't defend kidnappers. I don't defend human traffickers. And when I condemn them for what they did, I don't sit up and start looking at, well, what did the woman do to make herself vulnerable, or what wrong person did she? I don't start looking for ways to blame the women that are victims of these, or the men that are victims of these crimes. So don't think I'm going to turn around and because you're a woman and you got ovaries and a vagina, and I'm heterosexual, that I'm going to sit up here and just overlook and defend when y'all do this stuff. I'm not even going to overlook it if a woman mistakenly attributes paternity to the wrong man because she actually thought he was the father. How the hell do you not know there could have been multiple potentials? You the daddy. Well, if there was no one else, then sure, but why... You know, why, if you didn't lie to the man, why did you still make that mistake? Because you will flaunt the power that you have to restrict men from sexual access. But with power comes responsibility, and then you want to turn around and deny the responsibility or evade it when it comes down to you chose the wrong man to let nut in your pussy. You just wanted to flaunt the fact that you get to choose my body, my choice. That means your body, your responsibility. Just like what you would say to a man when it actually is his baby, or, you know, sometimes when it's not. He doesn't get to say my money, my choice. He has to say my money, my responsibility. Well, that's exactly what you're going to have to say with your body. Don't sit up and say, well, you men need to learn to keep it in the pants. I've already told men that. I've already said this to men. However, the day that, for whatever reason, technologically or nutritionally or whatever discovery needs to be made, the day it becomes easy for heterosexual young men to keep it in their pants is going to be the day you don't have any power. That's going to be the day you don't want to look forward to. And frankly, a lot of men don't want to have kids. I don't want to have any more. And there are many men out there now that are saying it's not that they hate kids, but they're not going to bring any into this world because of the high chances of not being able to raise them through into adulthood, being alienated from them, and frankly, what kind of world into which they would be bringing children. I feel like I owe my children an apology just for conceiving them in a world like this. And I'm going to tell y'all, some of you maggles, how bad this thing gets. You might say, but I'm not one of those women that does X, Y, and Z. And if you're not, I'm not going against you anyway. But the thing is, the matriarchy and the gynocracy and the hypocrisy underneath it, it is so omnipresent that even when the mother does not impart this to the daughter or the son, they're still going to pick up certain messages. My son was a victim of that for a while. My son, when he was a young kid, and I was visiting my hometown in which he lived, and he got to come visit me, said to me, I didn't want to come, but Mom made me to come see you. And I said, how come you didn't want to come see your dad while I'm in town? Well, at the church they said you don't supposed to have sex when you're not married. And you and my mom ain't married, so that means that you did that when you weren't married, and that's how I got here. And I said, oh, okay. Well, yeah, that was wrong for me to do it, son. That's true. I've admitted that before you even born. My question, son, is this. If that means you didn't want to see me and you didn't want to be around your dad because of what I did was wrong, did you ever think this way about your mother too? And I wasn't asking him this to say, well, now you have to hate your mother. I was asking him this to make sure that he wasn't going to disrespect his mom. And he said, no, I didn't. I said to him, okay, that's good. Don't disrespect her. Don't disrespect either of us, because number one, both of us have admitted that was wrong. And number two, we're looking out for you. We're not putting you in a dumpster or leaving you at a fire station or anything like that. And we're not going to, son. We're going to raise you. Now, this is before I became completely red-pilled. At the time, I didn't know what the term red pill meant outside of the Matrix. I didn't know about a manosphere. I don't think I even knew that there was a YouTube going on. I don't think I knew about Facebook either, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure, but social media was still very new at that point. So I didn't know about all this. But I did know that people tended to go hard on heterosexual black men. I knew that. And the thing was, his mother did not teach this to him either. Somewhere down the line, just like my daughter, by the time she could talk, had picked up on certain white supremacist messages from TV. Same way my son had picked up on the misandry, especially the anti-black misandry. And he knew he was a black boy that was going to become a black man. And I had to work to get this sort of stuff out of his head when he was young. Now, of course, he's red-pilled independently because now he knows about MGTOW from other than me. I only told him that there was a black alternative, SYSBM and immoral, and Passport Brothers. He only learned about the black alternative from me. He didn't, but he knew about MGTOW, as he said it. He knew that people were going in on men for things that men weren't even guilty of. He understood this, and later on he realized, wow, they really going in on black men. So I'm saying this to say that, yeah, my son was proof to me that just like white supremacy is everywhere, and it doesn't even have to be sat down. A child does not have to be sat down and indoctrinated with it in order to pick up on it through media. Same thing with this anti-black misandry. And even just Western misandry in general when it's not anti-black. And this was a long time ago. This was well over a decade ago. That's how bad it is. So when we men say, okay, well, this is what's in our best interest, and we know we can't force ladies to make good or bad choices for that matter. We can't force them to make either one, even when it's convenient for us, we can't do that. Just like we're saying, okay, well, this is what's in our best interest, and without forcing women, we're not going to act against our own interest. Just like we are saying that, you're coming along now and you're saying, no, you don't have the right to act in your interest. You only have the right to act in our interest. What about these babies that need dads? Yeah, they have fathers. Why don't you go see those men? What about, it's always this what about, and it's always, what about this thing that is beyond your control individually? Not only as you, the individual, but even as the type of man that you are. What about these things that are beyond you all's control that still need to be addressed? Yeah, they were beyond our control. We had nothing to do with that. So how about you go and mosey your little country behind on over there where you made the decision and talk about what about? Stop asking men that had nothing to do with this and were shut out of the decision-making process about this. Because it's one thing when you pick a stepfather that is quite similar to the father in terms of your taste in men. But it is a completely different animal and offense when you turn to a man that is not even your type. And you say to him, what about this baby over here that there's absolutely no way in hell you would have ever sired? Because I would have never screwed you if I didn't have any kids. But what about that baby over there? That ain't your baby, that you had nothing to do with making, that you could not have stopped me from conceiving with somebody else. What about his pampers? What about his food? What about his private school bills? What about his future? See, we can't stay and build a community. We can't save the black community specifically because of decisions like that. And we're being doubly insulted when you sit up and you make these decisions that you're now going to reform and you're going to be a born again virgin. And now all of a sudden you're going to have standards that the men that aren't your type got to meet. And the men that are still would not have to meet. Let's call that what it is. So stop defending the ones who are doing these things, especially if you ain't doing them. Because if you keep defending them, no one's going to sit up and say, well, okay, you're not doing that until we catch you. Men are going to start saying your defense of that B word over there is evidence that you are just like her. Because you know goddamn well how immoral that is and how insulting that is. Yes. If you think that a man who was a simp needs to stay a simp for the benefit of the women and their children by men that should not have been fathers, then yes, if she's going to be a slut, I'm not even saying she has to stay one. I'm simply saying that if she's going to be a slut today, she can't turn around and then be a difficult, high standard having lady tomorrow, especially for the kind of man that she never wanted in the first place. That's all I'm saying. And I'm completely fair in saying it. Now, thanks to all of you for listening, and I hope that one day this won't be necessary anymore. I hope one day this recording will be not true and irrelevant. But until that day, I hope this helps. Assalamu alaikum, and black, heterosexual, non-select, educated, lame male power just 'cause she don't like it. And black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day.